my experiences, the negative ones mostly, have influenced a lot of my work. Because I'm very outspoken about the sexuality of women and like the mistreatment of African American women within our community. And I feel like with a lot of my experiences, it's helped me to be more outspoken, like about the mistreatment of African American women.
Welcome, Peoria. My name is Ahavah Mauré, and this is Mike's Uncut. First, I want to take a moment to thank Lit on Fire. We're sitting here filming at the Sunbeam Building off of Sheridan, Maine. Be sure to check her out. She's got an awesome used bookstore down here. Also, I want to direct you to @Ahavah Mauré. That's AHAVAHMAURE with any questions or comments throughout the show, and we'll try to get to them before the show is over. I am sitting here with Megan Michelle Riley, born in Omaha, raised in Peoria, attended Richwoods High School, currently a Bradley student receiving your bachelor's in studio art.
Yes.
Your goal, career goal anyway, is to engage in art therapy to help provide a targeting at-risk youth and helping to provide them with an outlet for negative emotions. Is that correct?
Yep.
Tell me, where did you get the idea to utilize art for therapy?
Well, as a child, I've always been interested in art. Like, I've always been artistic since I was like 5 years old. So I wanted to find a way to help the youth, specifically youth within Peoria, but I just didn't know how to go about that. So I went through college trying to find like different ways of different means of trying to help the community. And my mom suggested to me, why don't you do art therapy since you love to draw? And during one of my philosophy courses, I found out that art is very therapeutic for children, so it can be really helpful. And I also was independently studying gang violence, and that's how I knew I wanted to help my community. So that's how I came about it.
You also, I definitely want to acknowledge that you also identify as a rape survivor.
Yes.
And I want to take a minute to just tell you how brave I think you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome for doing that. I witnessed one of your poems, which was so fantastic. It was bold, it was racy, and it was courageous, over at Whisper and Shout, which is where you perform a lot. And I want to ask you, do you get a lot of criticism for that?
At first, I was afraid that I would, but surprisingly I didn't. And I was so thankful to God for that, because I was afraid to come forward about my story, because as you would assume, a lot of rape survivors are very quiet about what happens to them. But I didn't want to be like the cliche rape survivor who was quiet. I wanted to speak about my story to help prevent it from happening to anybody else. So surprisingly, no. I haven't received a lot of negative feedback about it, and I hope that it continues to stay that way.
Would that stop you?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, that wouldn't stop me at all.
I didn't think so. Do you feel that your own art, your spoken word pieces, when you perform, when you walk up there knowing in mind that they're not ready, they're not, for what's about to come out of your mouth,
No.
do you feel that that's a coping skill for you, that that's therapy for you?
I do. Because, of course, I've been to counseling. I've been to a lot of different means of therapy, and they suggested journaling, which I found to be very depressing.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't want to journal.
Okay.
But I find spoken word poetry to be a different way of journaling for me. And being able to speak out about it also is therapeutic. So,
how do you feel that those experiences shaped you and your work?
I definitely feel like my experiences, the negative ones mostly, have influenced a lot of my work, because I'm very outspoken about the sexuality of women and the mistreatment of African American women within our community. And I feel like with a lot of my experiences, it's helped me to be more outspoken, about the mistreatment of African American women. So I definitely thank God for those experiences, because if I wouldn't have gone through that, then I wouldn't have been encouraged to write about it, and I wouldn't be sharing it and speaking out about it. And, you know, after me, specifically after me sharing my piece about my rape and my assault, a lot of people approached me saying, you know, I went through that too, but I wasn't brave enough to come forward and speak about it. And that's like, a lot of girls need to know that you shouldn't be ashamed to come forward about it. But the way that the media portrays it, in the way that society treats women, they make us feel ashamed, like it's our fault, and it's not. And
So let's speak about that more, because one, you can be talking about the victim blaming, shaming. What were you wearing? Where were you?
Right.
Were you drinking?
Like, that makes a difference.
Right. But also, you said that one of your focus was the double standard that society has, and we also place this double standard on ourselves. We endorse it.
Yeah.
The double standard as far as women and sexuality. Women being sexually active, and then, God forbid, we have a sexuality at all. So can you expound on that?
I definitely do focus a lot. Like, a lot of my beginning pieces focused on, like you said, the double standard within society of women being sexual beings. Because, you know, I am sexually active, and, you know, I'm not ashamed of that. I did have, but I was made to feel ashamed of that by society. Because in their mind, you know, you can't be sexually free if you're a woman. But if you're a man, you sleep with whoever you want to.
Right.
And not feel ashamed about it and get props for it.
And it doesn't stop you from getting promoted or getting opportunities or things of that nature.
But if you're a woman, that's totally different. And, you know, even though it's wrong that it's that way, it unfortunately is that way. And, you know, I want to just do my part to show that that's not right, and to, you know, let people know that, you know, I'm not judging anybody who is sexually active. I'm not judging men. I'm not judging women. But if you are a man and you're judging women for doing the exact same thing that you're doing, you know, I'm not going to say, you know, oh, that's okay. Yeah, you're right. No, that's not right. So
absolutely. Do you see you taking this message beyond the open mic stage? Are you interested in pursuing inspirational speaking or touring with this message?
I've thought about it, but at this point, I'm not really sure. I don't know. We'll just see what God puts in my heart, because I do definitely think my voice could be very powerful. Because, like, it's like you said, people don't expect what they hear when I get up there, because my voice is very soft. And even when I speak in a soft tone, my words are so powerful that it hits you like in the chest. So I definitely would like to probably do inspirational speaking, but we'll just see. I can't speak for certain right now.
Right. Okay. Straight from Megan herself, we're going to take a short break. Be sure to send any comments to @Ahavah Mauré. That's AHAVAHMAURE, and we'll be sure to get to them before the end of the show. And when we come back, Megan's going to grace the stage for us.
Okay, I don't have time to look at it, but I don't need to look at it. Thanks, Nick. I know it's perfect. Soft flavor beauty. What do you guys think? All about to go? Soft flavor beauty. Hit her up. I'll let you go.
Welcome back. I'm Ahavah Mauré, and this is Mike's Uncut. Again, I want to take a minute to thank Jessica Stevenson. We're here at Lit on Fire, and you're in for a special treat. We're about to hear a couple of pieces from Megan. She's going to perform for us What I'm Going Through, Confessions of a Survivor, and Labels of a Woman. Megan.
Okay. The way that I feel is a figment of my imagination, and I don't owe anyone an explanation for why I feel the way that I feel, because you aren't God, and I'm not just putting on a facade to get attention. And did I mention that maybe the reason I'm acting this way is because too many people are doing too much judging and too much assuming and not enough listening? Because if I can't come up with some sort of reasoning for why I feel the way that I feel, then it isn't legitimate, which seems to me like a bunch of bullshit, because some of the people who are doing the judging and the assuming are the exact same motherfuckers who are causing the hurt and the pain, and it's causing me to go insane because I cannot find a way to express to you that it ain't none of your damn business what I'm going through. And that's that piece. And this is entitled Confessions of a Survivor. Stop. No. Please don't. To him was my plea. His response to me, girl, you know you want this. Don't fight it. Girl, you know you want it. I don't know why you playing. Tears started streaming down my face. I wondered how the hell I ended up in this place. I was crying, begging, pleading for him to get off of me, for him to let go of me, for him to stop hurting me, for him to get out of me. Wait, why is he inside of me? Is this shit really happening, and is it because of me? Did I lead him on in a way, and did my lips say yes instead of no? See, this is my fault. See, my thought on the matter is, had I never invited the motherfucker over here, this wouldn't be happening to me. See, that's my bad for not knowing that let's watch a movie really translated into let's have sex. For 1 year and 3 months, that is how I felt. And these were my feelings and my thoughts. But now I know better. That rape is never the victim's fault. And that's that piece. And my last piece is Labels of a Woman. Okay. Well, you let him on, so. You fucked him before, so. You kissed him first, so. And you were wearing a short skirt with a strapless shirt, so. And y'all started having sex, so did you really expect him to stop? What that question implies is that no woman should expect a guy to respect her feelings about how he is treating her body. Her hair is as thick as her ass, and her breasts are as high as her class, but no one ever seems to do as she asks because she isn't considered a lady. Just a vessel only good enough for carrying babies. Her skin is as brown as her eyes, but she doesn't get to decide what's good for her, what feels good to her, what's hurting her, what seems disturbing to her. All she is allowed to do is watch, her soul being ripped from her chest with every grunting breath of the man who decided to take something so precious of hers and claim it as his. This is what caused her to be labeled a bitch, a slut, and a hoe. Because he went and bragged about how he tapped that ass to everyone that he knows, and the pain within her grew. Because she knew that a man should always listen when a woman says no. And yet, she blamed herself looking at the tattoo on her right breast as it glistened in the sunlight. In her mind, her shirt was too short and her skirt was too tight. She finally took a look at reality that no really means yes. These men felt as though they could come and go inside of her, regardless of whether or not her lips said no. These men felt as though they could come and go inside of her, regardless of whether or not her lips said no. Even when she screamed no, this man felt as though he could go inside of her private place, the space reserved for her husband. Yes, she was a virgin. And she can never have her first time again, because the person who she thought was her friend turned out to be her worst enemy in the end. He abused her trust and used her to fulfill his desire for lust. But regardless of whether or not he thought what he did was right, no means no. People continue to twist the word's definition while our current president is giving boys permission to grab women by the... giving men the feeling that sexually abusing people of the opposite sex is okay. But it's not okay. And I'm yearning to see the day when everyone finally realizes that. And that's that piece.
If you guys are just now joining us, I am sitting here with Megan Michelle Riley, and she has just shared 3 phenomenal pieces with us. Megan is a spoken word artist. She's also a student, and she's also a rape prevention advocate and a rape survivor. I want to talk to you about those pieces. And again, I want to tell you how brave and courageous that I think you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Not just to be on stage and do those pieces, but to be here, you know, in front of the people backstage and sharing your story and your works. Anyone who's an artist, it doesn't matter what kind of artist you are, you know that really is the blueprint to yourself, your feelings and your fears. And you just aired that with everyone to be able to look into your experiences and the things that you went through. And I think that there are few things braver than that. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, what I'm going through, who are you talking to?
I'm talking
Quote,
to...
what I'm going through is none of your damn business. Was that correct? End quote. Who are we talking to, Megan?
Just anybody who has just assumptions about the way that I should be. Because, like, growing up, I was always really quiet. Like, I really didn't fight or, like, I really didn't argue. Like, when people told me things, I just kind of went with it. But, like, now I'm finding, like, after I went away to college, to Virginia, I started to find my voice. And after I came back, everybody was like, oh. And
right,
so
there
then,
it is.
Then they, now they have a problem with the way that I'm speaking. And, like, they're like, well, what's your issue? Like, why are you always, like, trying to fight back? And, like, I guess, like, what I'm going through was just a spur of the moment piece where I was just like, you know what, you don't know my story. You don't know, like, what I've been through. Yeah, I'm not the same person that I was when I was growing up, but that's not a bad thing. Like, you know.
Is this family, childhood friends?
Everybody.
New friends?
Like,
all of it.
Friends, family, everybody. Acquaintances. Like, for instance, my parents kind of had, like, not an issue, but they weren't really comfortable with the new me. And so, like, they've grown more comfortable with it as time has passed. And so...
and I don't hear you saying that you turned into this, you know, nasty, unbearable person.
Like,
I just hear you saying that you found your voice.
Yeah, I just found my voice, which was quieted for so long because, like, I didn't want to cause, like, trouble, like, I guess. And so I just always was content with being quiet, but now I'm no longer content with being quiet because I feel like that kind of, you know, being quiet kind of makes me weak in a sense. You know, and with my experiences, I'm constantly trying to regain control of my life. And I feel like my voice is one of those ways that I can have control over my life. So,
do you think, as a result of the experience that you went through, do you feel that that is an attainable goal?
Yeah, I
Wonderful.
do. Yeah,
great.
I really do.
Your next piece, Confessions of a Survivor.
Yes.
You're going to have to help me out because I was writing as quickly as I could. You were asked a lot of questions here. I imagine that it was during the time that you experienced the rape.
Yeah.
How did I get myself into this situation?
Yeah.
Was that one of the questions? What were some of the other questions?
Some of the questions, like, why was I so stupid to let somebody, like, into my private, like, into my home? Like, how could I let this happen? Like, why didn't I scream? Like, why didn't I call for help? Like,
can you answer those questions now? Do you feel that those questions came from you, or is that a part of the victim blaming that you spoke of before?
I feel like it was a part of the victim blaming. Some of the people that I talked to, they, like, I don't know. A lot of people has perceptions. Like, a lot of people have perceptions from the media about, like, how rape victims should act after they've been raped. And that's not how it is. Like,
what do you feel that perception is? How should do you feel society tells you a rape survivor should act?
A rape survivor should call the police. A rape survivor, when she's being assaulted, when she or he is being assaulted, usually is screaming during the process. A lot of fighting. You know, scratching. And, like, for me, it wasn't that. I was, like, numb throughout the whole thing.
And going back to your first poem, if you're not in my skin,
you don't know. Like, you can't tell me.
You can't tell someone how they should behave in any experience, especially if you've never experienced it.
Especially if, like, I feel like the only way a person can really understand that is if they've been through it themselves. And I pray that nobody, like, ever has to experience that, but that's literally the only way you can ever understand how a rape survivor feels.
And of course, we get accurate accounts from events in history from TV.
Right.
Right. So,
right. You know, TV, you know, the internet is always truthful.
Right. I bought it on the internet. And I love what you said about the Let's Watch a Movie. If you've ever been to college, you have heard that before.
Netflix and chill.
Right.
But, you know, I honestly, when watching, because I have male friends, and when I hang out with those male friends, like one of my best friends, his name is Carrie, and we watch movies all the time. So in this situation, I thought it would be the same thing. Like, but it wasn't.
Right.
And it took a turn for the absolute worst. And a lot of times when guys hear the phrase, come over, let's hang out, their minds automatically go to sex. And for me, it's not like that. I just want to honestly hang out with you.
Right.
I don't want to get in your pants and none of that. And the fact that this guy just thought like he could take the decision totally away from me was what was most hurtful.
It's about choice.
Right.
You didn't have one?
I didn't have one. And I feel like that influenced a lot of my decisions. Like after that influenced like a lot of my emotions and a lot of my decisions, because I was constantly trying to regain that control back over my life. Whether it be through appearance changes, like I cut my hair, I dyed it, I got piercings. Like, so I was constantly trying to, you know, have control over whatever area I could of my life. And it put me through some pain. Like, it put me through a lot of unnecessary pain, those things that I did. But, you know, again, I'm thankful to God that he allowed that to happen, because had he not allowed that to happen, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be able to relate to so many other girls who have gone through the same thing, and I wouldn't be inspired to share my story. So.
And it sounds like that was a process for you to get to that point.
It was a process. It took a
one that you appreciate greatly now.
Yeah, I appreciate it greatly. And I just recently, like January, I was like, you know what? This is ridiculous. I shouldn't be crying and feeling bad about what happened to me. I shouldn't feel ashamed. I shouldn't feel like it was my fault, because it wasn't.
Right.
Because as soon as I said no, like, that was it.
It was. And that actually brings me to your next poem, which was Labels of a Woman. You made a comment. There were a lot of questions from others who were, one of the comments was, you were already having sex, so where do you get, how did you educate yourself on what exactly rape is? And I think a lot of people really do not realize that an intoxicated person can't consent, or that even if you are engaged in the activity, when you say no, it's no.
Right. Well, I really started educating myself the most after it happened to me. Because I always watched shows like Law and Order, SVU, and like shows like that. But I feel like the most education I gained was from my own experience. And then that's when I started doing more research. Like I shared statistics about like the number of assaults that occur within the prison system, and those aren't even included in like the regular statistics that they show on the internet.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, those like the inmate statistics aren't even included in like statistics that you see on the internet. So like the statistics that you see on the internet are a lot lower than what, you know, the actual numbers are, which is sad, because a lot of these inmates, you know, they report them, but like they're not taken seriously because they aren't seen, you know, as a regular human being, which is sad. Right.
Where are some of the places that you derive this information, like World Health Organization or CDC?
Wait, where was? Because I have some of the facts. It was like the National Rape and Incest Organization. Okay. Yeah, so it was something like that. And so that's where I drew a lot of the statistics from. And they had like a list of facts. Like, normally a lot of rape victims are raped either within their own home or like close to their homes. and a lot of women experience sexual harassment in the workplace, of course, and like just a lot of interesting facts. And then when I looked up a lot of statistics about men, because of course this doesn't just happen to women, it happens to men too, but it's less likely.
That is not given enough attention to.
Right, it's not given enough attention to, because again, the cliche of rape, it's always shown that it's a female victim instead of a male victim. A lot of men are raped within the prison system by female guards. And so, and I feel like the sad thing is that men feel like they can't come forward because society puts it in their minds that they have to be strong, and that could be something that would show them as weak, which I don't feel like it's anybody who goes through it. I don't feel like they're weak at all. I feel like they're the strongest people, especially if they survive after it. Like, I feel like they're the strongest people ever. So
thank you so much for joining us, Megan. We have a lot of tweets here, and majority of them are just saying how beautiful you are. I think you have a beautiful soul. You rock, love your earrings. Oh. These are some of the things that we're seeing. ATL girl, I just want to thank you again. I think that you touched a lot of people with your story. You definitely touched me. I'll never forget the first time I saw you performing down there on the river. And I wish you the best of luck with your journey and with your works. And I think you would make a great inspirational speaker.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is Mike's Uncut.